What's the actual difference between a $9 bottle of Axe and a $900 bottle of Clive Christian? Is the Clive Christian really 100 times better? Is it even 10 times better? Or is the gap between them smaller than the perfume industry wants you to believe? Here is what makes this question uncomfortable. A $9 body spray and a $900 luxury perfume both contain the same basic thing: aromatic compounds dissolved in a liquid carrier. The chemistry is identical in principle. What changes between a $9 bottle and a $900 bottle is concentration, ingredient sourcing, and an enormous amount of marketing mythology. Today, we are breaking down every tier of the fragrance market, from the cheapest body spray to a fully bespoke scent made just for one person. 7 levels. At each one, we will show you exactly how much of your money goes to the actual juice, how much goes to the bottle, and how much goes to the story they are selling you. And somewhere around level 4, you are going to get angry, because that is where the math stops making sense. Level 1. Body spray. This is the floor. Brands include Axe, Old Spice Sport, and Adidas Body Mist. Prices range from $5 to $12 for a can that is usually 150 to 200 milliliters. The concentration of fragrance oil in a body spray sits between 1 and 3%. The rest is alcohol, water, and propellant. Your skin gets a thin mist of scent molecules diluted to the point where they evaporate within an hour or two at best. The cost of the aromatic compounds inside an entire can of Axe is roughly 20 to 30 cents. The aluminum can itself costs more than the fragrance inside it. Now, body sprays are not trying to be perfume. They are targeting teenagers, gym bags, and quick fixes before class. The marketing budget for a brand like Axe dwarfs the product development budget by orders of magnitude. Those commercials with models chasing guys down the street? That is where your $9 went, not into the can. But here is what is interesting about level 1. The synthetic molecules used in an Axe body spray, things like dihydromercenol or linalool, are the exact same molecules that show up in every tier above this one. The raw materials do not change. The concentration does. So if the building blocks are the same, what actually shifts when you move up? Level 2. Drugstore and mass market. Nautica Voyage. CK1. Davidoff Cool Water. Price range $15 to $35 for a 3.4 ounce bottle. You've now jumped from body spray to eau de toilette territory. The fragrance oil concentration climbs to 5 to 15%. Longevity stretches to 3 or 4 hours on skin. The scent has actual structure now, a top note that opens, a heart that develops, and a base that lingers. Body sprays do not have that layered architecture because there is not enough fragrance oil to sustain it. The juice cost inside a $25 bottle of Nautica Voyage is roughly $1 to $2. The bottle is moulded glass, machine-produced in batches of hundreds of thousands. Packaging is cardboard and cellophane. The retail markup at this tier runs about 8 to 12 times the production cost. And yet, some of the most respected legacy fragrances in the industry live at this level. CK1 launched in 1994 as one of the first mainstream unisex scents, and it is still relevant 30 years later. Cool Water defined an entire generation of aquatic fragrances in the 1990s. These were developed by world-class perfumers at the Big Four fragrance houses, Givaudan, IFF, Firmenich, and Symrise, the same companies that formulate scents for every tier above this one. That last point matters, because it means the talent behind a $25 drugstore fragrance is often the same talent behind a $250 designer one. The perfumer who finished your $25 Nautica brief might spend their afternoon working on a Tom Ford submission. This is the tier where you start getting real value. The question is whether the tiers above it deliver proportionally more. Spoiler, most of them do not. Level 3. Designer. Dior Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel, Versace Eros, Dolce & Gabbana, Light Blue. Price range $80 to $150 for a standard eau de toilette or eau de parfum. This is where most people enter the fragrance world, and it's also where the dream tax kicks in. The concentration at this tier usually sits between 10 and 20%, depending on whether you're buying an EDT or EDP. Longevity runs 4 to 6 hours, sometimes longer with an EDP. The juice cost inside a $120 bottle of Dior Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel is approximately $3 to $5. That's not a guess. Industry analysts have studied this tier extensively. For mass-market luxury perfume, the actual fragrance accounts for roughly 3% of the retail price. Marketing, packaging, and branding eat up 80 to 90%. I mean, think about that. You hand over $120 at the Dior counter. About $4 of that paid for the scent. Around $10 went to the bottle and packaging. The rest, over $100, funded the Johnny Depp campaign, the department store commission, the manufacturer's margin, and the retailer's cut. The formulas at this level use solid synthetic accords. Dior Sauvage relies heavily on ambroxan, a synthetic molecule that Firmenich produces and sells across the industry. Bleu de Chanel uses a blend of citrus, incense, and woody synthetics that are widely available from the Big Four suppliers. These are good fragrances, well-constructed, crowd-pleasing, reliable, but the ingredients are neither rare nor expensive. This is the level where the gap between what you pay and what you get becomes the widest, and somehow it gets even more extreme one tier up. Level 4. Premium Designer. Tom Ford Private Blend. Yves Saint Laurent, La Nuit de l'Homme, Dior Privé Collection. Price range $150 to $400. Some bottles push past $400 for a 1.7 ounce size. The concentration here ranges from 15 to 25%. You are firmly in eau de parfum or extrait de parfum territory. Longevity can stretch to 6, 8, sometimes 10 hours depending on the formulation. The scent profiles get more complex, with richer base notes that develop over time. The juice cost at this tier climbs to roughly $5 to $15 per bottle. More expensive ingredients appear in the formula. You might find natural oud accords alongside synthetics, higher quality vanilla absolutes, and ingredients like iris butter, which cost several $1,000s per kilogram. The formulations are more nuanced than level 3, but this is the part that should bother you. The retail price does not scale with the ingredient cost. The jump from $120 at level 3 to $350 at level 4 represents a 190% price increase. The jump in juice cost? Maybe 100 to 200%. Where does the extra money go? The Tom Ford name, the dark minimalist bottle, the exclusive feeling boutique placement. Tom Ford does not manufacture any of its fragrances in-house. Every scent in the private blend collection is developed by external fragrance houses, the same Big Four. The entire value proposition is curation and aesthetics. Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille uses synthetic tobacco accords that dozens of niche brands have access to. The vanilla is not hand-harvested from some secret plantation. It is a blend of vanillin and ethyl vanillin available in bulk from any major aroma chemical supplier. At $350 for 50 millilitres, you are paying roughly $7 per milliliter for ingredients that cost the manufacturer a few cents per milliliter. This is the level where the industry relies most heavily on the dream tax. You are not buying better ingredients than level 3. You are buying a more expensive story. And yet, there are tiers above this where the money actually does start going into the bottle. Level 5. Niche. Maison Francis Kurkdjian, Parfums de Marly, Creed, Frédéric Malle, Amouage. Price range $200 to $450 for a 2.5 ounce bottle. This tier is where things start to shift. Niche brands generally dedicate 30 to 60% of their production costs to ingredients, compared to 3 to 10% at the designer level. The concentration usually sits at 20 to 30%, either eau de parfum or extrait. Longevity regularly hits 8 to 12 hours. The juice cost at this tier ranges from $15 to $35 per bottle. You are getting meaningfully better raw materials, with higher concentrations of natural absolutes alongside proprietary synthetic accords. Houses like Frédéric Malle position themselves as a publisher of perfumes, giving the perfumer full creative control rather than designing by marketing committee. That is a real difference in the final product. Creed is an interesting case. They claim a heritage going back to 1760, though fragrance historians have questioned some of that timeline. Aventus, their flagship scent, became a cult favourite. It uses a blend of birch, pineapple, and smoky musks that has been widely copied. A 3.3 ounce bottle runs around $350 to $450. The ingredient quality is genuine, but you are still paying a significant brand premium. Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Baccarat Rouge 5 and 40, probably the most talked about fragrance of the last decade, uses a blend of saffron, jasmine, ambergris, and cedarwood. The ingredients are higher quality than anything at level 3 or level 4. The scent architecture is more sophisticated, more layered, designed to evolve on skin over hours, rather than spraying bright and fading fast. This is the tier where you start getting what you pay for, not dollar for dollar. No fragrance at any level gives you that. But the ingredient investment is real. The artistic freedom is genuine, and the formulas are noticeably more complex than designer offerings. The question is whether the 2 levels above this can justify going even higher. Level 6. Haute Parfumerie, Roja Parfums, Clive Christian, Xerjoff. Price range $400 to $900 or more per bottle. Some limited editions break into 4 figures. The concentration at this tier runs 25 to 40%. We are talking pure extrait de parfum, the most concentrated form commercially available. A single spray can last 12 hours or longer. You apply it to pulse points with a dabber, not a spray nozzle, because at this concentration, a little goes a very long way. The juice cost at level 6 sits between $30 and $80 per bottle. You are now dealing with ingredients that actually justify premium pricing. Natural Indian oud can cost more per kilogram than gold. Tahitian Vanilla Absolute. Iris root butter requires 3 years of drying and aging before extraction and runs upward of $50,000 per kilogram at the highest grades. Bulgarian Rose Otto is harvested at dawn from petals that yield only a fraction of a gram of essential oil per kilogram of flowers. Roger Dove, the founder of Roja Parfums, ran the Haute Parfumerie at Harrods in London for years. His brand's flagship, Haute Luxe blends rare florals, oud, and resins in small batches, retailing around $3,500 for 100 millilitres. The production is deliberately limited. Clive Christian traces its heritage to the Crown Perfumery Company, founded in 1872 and given the right by Queen Victoria to use the royal crown on its bottles. Their number one uses Indian sandalwood, Tahitian vanilla, and Sicilian bergamot. A 50 milliliter bottle sells for $4,200. The Baccarat Crystal Flacon Edition, with a diamond-studded collar, held the Guinness World Record for the most expensive commercially available perfume. At this tier, the money genuinely goes into what is inside the bottle. The marketing budgets are modest compared to designer brands because the audience is small and self-selecting. You will not see Roja Parfums ads during a football game. The packaging is luxurious, yes, but the ingredient investment is proportionally the highest of any commercial tier. Whether a $900 bottle delivers 9 times the experience of a $100 bottle is subjective. But unlike level 4, the pricing at level 6 at least reflects what is inside. And then there's one tier above everything. Level 7, Bespoke. This is where commercial fragrance ends and private commissioning begins. A perfumer creates a scent exclusively for you. One formula, one client. Nobody else in the world wears it. The price range is almost absurd. Independent perfumers offer bespoke services starting around $325 for a 50 milliliter bottle, going up to $1,500 for a more involved process with multiple reformulation rounds and consultations. That's the accessible end. At the top, major fragrance houses offer private commissions for clients who pay from $10,000 to $50,000 for a fully bespoke scent developed over months. The process involves in-depth consultations, multiple submission rounds, and access to the house's full library of rare materials. Some ultra-luxury services have historically charged $200,000 or more, including custom crystal flacons and personal delivery in a Bentley. The juice cost at this level is wildly variable. An independent perfumer working with a budget of $325 might invest $40 to $80 in raw materials, using their expertise, and a curated palette of natural and synthetic ingredients. A high-end bespoke commission at $50,000 might use $500 to $2,000 in rare naturals, with the rest covering the perfumer's time, artistry, intellectual property, and exclusivity guarantee. What you're buying at level 7 isn't really a product. It's a service. The perfumer's decades of training, their nose, their creative judgment applied entirely to you. Nobody else walks into a room smelling the way you do. That's the value proposition, and it's the only tier where the premium has nothing to do with marketing. So here is the picture when you lay all 7 levels side by side. At level 1, 20 cents of juice in a $9 can. At level 3, $4 of juice in a $120 bottle. At level 6, $50 or more of juice in a $900 bottle. The scale is not linear. The gap between level 1 and level 2 is almost nothing in terms of raw ingredients. The gap between level 2 and level 3 is mostly marketing. The gap between level 3 and level 4 is almost entirely branding. The real inflection point happens at level 5. That is where ingredient investment starts climbing meaningfully, and the formulas reflect genuine artistic ambition rather than market-tested crowd-pleasing. Below level 5, you are mostly paying for a name, a bottle, and a billboard. Above level 5, you are mostly paying for what is inside. That does not mean you should only buy niche or haute parfumerie. A $25 bottle of CK1 can bring you just as much daily enjoyment as a $400 bottle of Baccarat Rouge 540. Fragrance is personal. What matters is that you understand what you are paying for at each level, so the industry cannot charge you a dream tax without you noticing. Smell what you love. Just know what it costs. YouTube thinks you will want to watch this next. Click it. And if this changed how you think about fragrance, subscribe. Next week, we are pulling apart the skincare industry with the same breakdown.